Hello, and welcome to Co-ople Mode, a couple's opinion on gaming. I'm Matt.
I'm Rose.
And welcome back to the studio. We're back out of Lady Luck's dicey dungeon hell. We're free.
And I'm never going back. I don't care if they have my heart's desire.
Your heart's desire is right here, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't need to go there.
I know my heart's desire is in this room.
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
They can hear me blushing. Stop,
yep,
move on.
Yep. The heat rose on their phone right now.
They got their little warning signal. Your phone's too hot.
It's overheating. I love it. Oh, I am kind of excited for this game. This is one of like the original things I thought about having you try. I kind of wanted to build you up to it a little bit.
Oh, God. Oh,
Just watch her get nervous when I say that. Do you have any guesses right now about what this game might be?
Hold on, let me vomit out of anxiety quick and think.
It is not the main thing you're thinking right now. I will ease up.
I try to think and my mind goes really blank.
Think. Big words that say think. I see a T.
When you're like, what do you think it is? I try to remember all the things that I have maybe seen you play, and my mind just goes egg scramble.
Well, here we go. I got some music here to help you out. Let's see how you feel when I play this. Does that bring any memories back to you? All right, that's all you get.
I don't know. I'm so bad at this game. It sounds familiar, but it also sounds so generic.
Ooh, that's rough.
I'm sorry. Well, it's like a big marching band type. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It could be from anything.
Yeah, I suppose it could be, but it's from something very big. You ready? You give up? You just want me to tell you?
It's not like a Final Fantasy, is it?
It's not Final Fantasy, but it's like a Final Fantasy.
Oh, no, what is it?
It is Dragon Quest 11 Echoes of an Elusive Age.
I know somebody that loves Dragon Quest.
Yes. I was like, okay, if she hears this music, she might think of Dragon Quest Builders 2, which our son has played a lot of. I played a lot of it as well, but I beat the game 3 times, helping my son beat the game 3 times. So it also a very good game, but we are playing one of the mainline franchise RPG games.
I have no knowledge of this game. Actually, I'm a little offended that you thought I would recognize that music, because I can't even think of one thing that I know about this game. You fool.
Well, like I said, I thought you might recognize it because our son played this pretty hardcore for a while, and that's the music that comes up every time he starts it up.
I have a deep, dark secret. Sometimes when our son is busy like that, I put in headphones and listen to a podcast while I am doing chores and pretend I'm in a quiet, peaceful world.
Well, that ain't our house normally.
No, I gotta pretend.
All right. Well, some information about this game. It is published and developed by Square Enix. Now, you might recognize that name because it's probably one of the biggest names in RPGs. But way back in the day, Square was Squaresoft in America, and Enix was all on its own. And Enix actually made Dragon Quest before the merger. Like they do now that they're merged together, but they actually put out their first RPG Dragon Quest the year before Final Fantasy came out. So it is considered the first console RPG.
Wow.
Dragon Quest. This is the mainline series. The one I'm having you play is the 11th in the main franchise. It originally released in Japan on the PS4 and 3DS in July 2017.
Okay.
Which sounds like a weird mix, right?
Why?
And why the PS4 and the 3DS? They're very different consoles, right?
Yeah, it just clicked. It didn't come out on Xbox, Nintendo 3DS, and the PlayStation.
Yep.
That is weird.
So what they did was something very interesting. Now, the PS4 was the full, like, 3D, good-looking game that you've probably seen me play on our Switch at some point.
What?
The 3DS was actually done in a 2D sprite format, like the old original Dragon Quest games.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which was kind of a cool thing.
And it's also like, it's kind of cool, but it's a little bit insulting. Like, hey, Nintendo, we're going to dumb down our game for you because your consoles are so shitty compared to the PlayStation.
Okay, hold on. You got to hold your horses. First of all, funny. The 3DS was a handheld only thing. Yeah, the PlayStation 4 was a full ass console. I know. You cannot compare the two. That is not fair.
It is a little bit funny though, right?
I get where you're coming from.
I'm not throwing shade. I love Nintendo, but it is funny.
Then the game was internationally released on September 2018, though the 3DS version remains Japan only. It never came out on other consoles. Eventually, the Switch in September 2019, 2 years after the original, came out on Switch. And that's the version I have. It's got some more backstory with the characters. There's some fun little bonus items that you get. And there's like a mode called Draconian mode where you can give yourself an even harder challenge for the real hardcores out there. You can do lots of weird things, make NPCs say even wilder stuff. Like, cool. And there's some just like fun little things you can do. The other consoles eventually got it a year after that. So I think it was 2020 that it came out. The definitive edition came out on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and all that. So like, it's been like a steady stream of a few years of this game, but that also is like how good this game is, right? Like, everyone makes a joke about how Skyrim keeps releasing on everything. There's a new Skyrim version all the time, like for years, right? Skyrim's coming out again because it was a good game and people loved it. And this is kind of a similar thing where this is such a good Dragon Quest game that it could keep coming out and they could keep making it. Like, the definitive edition I have on Switch, it has the 3DS 2D version of the game. So there's the 3D original game and the 2D version, and you can actually swap between it.
Okay.
On like whenever you want. Like, you go to a certain character and you can swap it, which I thought was kind of interesting. I think it resets your story to the beginning of whatever chapter you're in, but real hardcore people can use that to get multiples of certain items. There's a trick you can do. Yeah, but that's really lengthening the length of this game. If you do
Probably
that.
not something I'm going to do.
Yeah, I was having trouble finding out exactly how many copies this game sold. I think as of 2021.
I bet, because it just like released on all these random different consoles at different times.
So I think 6 million copies worldwide as of 2021. And I don't know if that's only the definitive edition, the original edition, or everything.
Oh my Lord.
So
it'd be like trying to add up all the copies of Skyrim sold. I mean,
yeah. So let's, very tentative. Let's,
right.
On Metacritic, it scored between 80 and 92. With Nintendo Switch sitting at a 91 and the lowest being PC at 80. And I feel like that is because in Japanese culture, PC gaming isn't the forefront of their game development. And that's only because they're trying to sell more to Western audiences that they've made that a focus. Like, when they made this game, they knew they were going to make it for PC. Because they knew people want that. Like, we want that. PC gaming's as big as it's ever been now, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes there's tricks between porting that over or... that reminds me. When I looked up the Metacritic scores, one PC reviewer of this game gave it like a 68. Because they were like, it's boring, I don't like it. And it's like, I think maybe this isn't your type of game. Because the highest PC gave it an 88 out of 100, and the other ones were in mid 80s. So this one reviewer just brought the score down. That one person
messed it all up for everybody.
I know. I was like,
seems a little unfair.
Okay, that's why it's fun. Like, when I look up Metacritic reviews, especially when it's for multiple different iterations of the game across consoles, I'd like to take a peek and be like, okay, why is this one so low? Like, I want to know. It's
kind of crazy how much of a difference it can have for a score between consoles too.
Yeah.
And then you get the added thing of just that one random guy that's like,
this one guy thought this game was shit.
And he's just an angry person.
They're just super angry. So I figured I'd just go there's some differences in the definitive edition between the main edition. Like, there's a whole extra like 2D world missions where you actually travel to old Dragon Quest areas and do like little fun missions in the story of those old Dragon Quest games, which is kind of cool, especially for longtime fans of the series. The 2D mode is in there. They expanded a bunch of content, which fleshed out a bunch of the characters. They added a battle speed modifier. So when you're in the battles, you can have it at 1.5 times speed or 2 times speed.
Can you do that right away?
Immediately.
Oh, thank God.
Yes. And I have to say, like, that's...
I am a little more excited to try this now.
Yep. A lot of these RPGs that have been keeping to the classic playstyle have been adding these battle speed modifiers nowadays, which is so nice. Because, like, in the beginning, I'm fine with normal speed at first, but after, like, I don't know, 5 hours of the game, you're like, can we just turn it up a little bit?
That's my biggest problem with RPGs is the turn-based fighting, where it's so boring.
Yeah, it just like it makes like when you do want to grind for a level or for like a certain item drop on a monster or whatever, it makes it so much nicer that you can just burn through it that much quick. You don't feel like you're wasting as much time doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is nice. And then the music is they added orchestral variants on all the music, because the original game when it released was all the synthesized music like normal a lot of games do, like just through the computer. So they had an orchestra come in and record all these pieces, so you actually get like some very nice music as you're playing through. And I thought that was nice, and you can switch between the two.
Okay.
And then, like I said before, the draconian challenges, hard mode, like you can choose what kind of challenge you want to make it, and that's also just, I think that's kind of nice. Like, some people buy these games and they just play it, complete it, and they're adding some replayability to those hardcore people that really love to like min-max their game.
Yeah,
right?
That's nice for people that love to play it.
Yeah,
and switch it up.
And one of the versions, I think it only sold in Japan. It was a special edition version, and you got some character concept art from the lead artist. And I want to know, you probably won't recognize this name, but it'll sound familiar. Akira Toriyama. You will recognize that name from the mangaka who wrote Dragon Ball. So if you play this game, you look at it and you're like, why do these characters kind of like feel familiar?
Why is this guy
Why does he have Goku hair?
Yeah.
Why does this guy have Vegeta hair?
What, bald?
Yeah, no, not Vegeta. That's Krillin.
I don't know.
Vegeta isn't the hairline king. He has a receding hairline.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't watch Dragon Ball.
That's okay.
I vaguely know.
It like by osmosis, like you would probably recognize it. But yeah, so Akira Toriyama has been the character art designer for the Dragon Quest series forever, I feel like.
That makes sense, because in Dragon Quest Builders, your main little guy does kind of have Goku hair.
Yes,
now
he
that
does.
I think about it. It's just blonde.
And I think that's just like, it's a fun thing. Like, hey, the guy who made Dragon Ball also works on Dragon Quest. What is with him and dragons?
Now that you say it, like I really see it in the art style of Dragon Quest Builders anyway, just because I've seen that one. I don't know how this one looks.
I mean, in a similar vein, not so blocky as Dragon Quest Builders.
Dragon Quest Builders is like Dragon Quest and Minecraft put together, right?
Yes, essentially, yeah.
It's kind of the feel.
So when they were making this particular game, they were initially considered making it fully open world, where you can go anywhere, do anything, right? Which is hard to do for an RPG. Yeah. So eventually,
oops, I walked into a level 100 enemy.
Yeah, but that wasn't what ended up making them not do it that way. It was because like the story they were trying to tell couldn't work in a fully open world.
Sure.
So basically how it goes is you have some linear sections, but eventually you get to a point in the game where you can start going anywhere you want, go back to areas, explore, find tough enemies and such. I thought this was also interesting. As of March 2022, the Dragon Quest series as a whole has sold over 85 million copies worldwide.
Oh my gosh.
85 million copies.
That's insane.
And there's 11 games. That's a lot of flipping games.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Dragon Quest III set sales records in 1988 when it came out by selling 1.1 million game cartridges in Japan within a day.
Wow.
And 3 million in a week. That was in 1988. Like that is so much to hear about, like multiple millions in a week. Like, that's very rare at the time.
There was only 2 other games to choose from at the time to buy. You want Mario or you want this one?
You want something even crazier is Dragon Quest V in 1990 sold out 1.3 million copies within an hour.
Oh my gosh.
In an hour, they kept track of. Yeah, it's insane that how much Dragon Quest is especially just like built into the culture of Japan. And I'm going to talk about that later. I'm going to come back to that. It's Dragon Quest as a franchise is very interesting.
I'm going to feel so bad if I don't like this game.
Japan will hate you. No, it's fine. JRPGs are not everyone's cup of tea. Most people, especially
RPGs are not my cup of tea.
Yes, but this one is really good and really well done. And I think you're at a point now where I think you can experience it. And even if it's not your cup of tea at the end, I think you can appreciate it for what it is at the end of the day. The original Dragon Quest games often cited as the first console RPG, and GameSpot called it the most influential role-playing game of all time, stating that nearly all Japanese RPGs since then have drawn from its gameplay in some shape or form. So Final Fantasy, the job system in Final Fantasy, one of the Dragon Quest games had a job system early on, I believe 3. Kind of borrowed from that. Dragon Quest did it. Even Dragon Quest V is cited as having monster recruiting and training mechanics that inspired the monster collecting RPGs such as Pokemon, Digimon, and Dokapon. Dragon Quest V was out before Pokemon came out, and they had a mechanic where you could capture the monsters and fight them as like a kind of a side thing. You could have the monsters come in and fight for you. And so Dragon Quest did it first.
Thank you, Dragon Quest.
And which is funny because there's actually some Game Boy games that are called Dragon Quest Monsters where that was the whole point. You collect monsters and have a monster team and run around.
I could play that one.
if I can.
I'm just kidding.
I played that back in the day and I really enjoyed it. And they had some versions that came out on DS and 3DS that were also very good kind of monster collecting type games. Dragon Quest series is recognized by the Guinness World Records with 6 world records in the Guinness book. These records include best-selling role-playing game on the Super Famicom, Super Nintendo, fastest-selling game in Japan, obviously, and the first video game series to inspire a ballet. Oh. Dragon Quest is the culture phenomena in Japan. Like I said, it is so popular that it is used as a common topic for conversations in Japan and is considered by the Japanese gaming industry as Japan's national game. The slime in the Dragon Quest game is so built into the Japanese culture. If you ask them to draw a slime, they're going to draw your little blue onion-shaped slime from Dragon Quest. That is the first thing that is going to come to their mind. They have cafes and restaurants with Dragon Quest theming over there that are actually really popular and people love to go to them. And they have food inspired from the game. It is very a part of their culture, this game.
That's kind of cool.
Which is just impressive. You think about how long this game has been going and coming out and just people are in love with it. They enjoy it and they think it's fun.
I really enjoy Japan's culture and how they just accept new things and make them part of their identity.
Yeah.
You showed me how they have a giant Gundam robot that they built in the middle of a city.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tourist attraction. They did it.
Yeah, America, could we be cool like that? Can't.
I know it's funny how they just accept that cool nerdy side of themselves as a cultural identity. Over here it's oh, you're into nerdy crap? Well, that ain't important enough to do anything cool with unless some rich guy by himself decides to do it. Japan's no, we export this. Anime is our big thing. Let's start making some cool stuff.
That's just, I don't know. It sounds so fun.
Yeah, they're willing to have fun with it.
Yeah.
There was an interesting urban myth that the release of Dragon Quest III caused a law to be passed in Japan banning the sale of Dragon Quest games or video games except on certain days such as weekends or national holidays. Because when 3 came out and was released in Japan, apparently 300 school children were arrested for truancy. They skipped school for waiting in stores to get the game as soon as it was released.
So they're like, only sell it on the weekends. We got to keep our kids in school.
The rumor claims there was a huge dip in productivity when the Dragon Quest game was released. And there was even muggings for people trying to get Dragon Quest. So there was no law passed, actually, but every Japanese release of Dragon Quest continued to be on a Saturday from then on, except for the Dragon Quest X, which was an MMORPG that ended up coming out on a Thursday. But every other Dragon Quest game always releases on a Saturday. So people have a day and a half to
go get it, play it, pay them out. Okay, now it's Monday, get back to work.
Which I think is just like, it's such a wild thing that there's a rumor like, yeah, you can't sell Dragon Quest games during the weekdays because everybody's not going to be playing. Everyone's going to be playing Dragon Quest.
The whole country will shut down. That's wild.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, I just, it's such an interesting thought. Like the mainline games are very well loved, and there's so many like side game like Dragon Quest Builders, like a little fun. You know, it's not a mainline game. Really well done, really good. There is a really fun one where you play as a slime on the DS. You play as a monster and you attack by stretching yourself and rolling into enemies. But boss battles are fought in these like monster tanks. And so stuff you find you can use as ammo to shoot at the enemy. It's actually one of my favorite Dragon Quest games. I've beaten this game twice over my lifetime because it's just such a fun mechanic. And I so hope that it eventually gets like some sort of spiritual successor because it was just like interesting, creative, and fun. And I loved it very much. You recruit monsters to man your tank for you. And like you can launch yourself into the enemy tank and cause havoc. But that is not the game we're going to be talking about. Let's talk about Dragon Quest XI. You start as... Oh, man. How do I even start? Okay, basic story. You are adopted in a small village called Cobblestone. And you start the game going through like a very linear first dungeon. It's like a rite of passage for adults. You climb this mountain. You see the view of Adria. That's the name of the continent. And that's like, you know, typical small town, like this is your right, you're becoming a man, all that stuff. Well, during your adventure, you find a mark on your hand, which says you are the reincarnation of something called the Luminary, who was the hero who protected the world a long time ago. And now you have to go on an adventure to find out what you need to do again. Very typical, you're the chosen one, right?
Yep.
Very classic.
Legend of Zelda vibes.
Yeah, right? You hold the Triforce of Courage. You got to do something about it, right?
Do something about it.
But I think the game starts out very nice. Like, hey, here's this like easy dungeon. There's some enemies on the field. You don't have to get into a fight if you don't want to. In the 3D version, there's no random battles. The enemies are on the field. And if you want to get a little advantage on them, a little swing of your sword, you do some damage into them to start the battle, which can help you out, which is a nice mechanic. And then immediately after that, it's time to go out into the world, go to the big city, see the king. He's got to tell you what to do. And then the game starts like just opening up a little bit more. You start finding party members. The first party member you have is a thief, essentially, and he helps you out quite a bit. And it's fun to me because all the monsters are very interesting and like you get some funny, punny names. One of the monsters you fight looks like a big cucumber with a spear and it's called a cruel cumber. And like, it just like, there's these little things where they are just very lighthearted with it, even though like some parts of the story are very serious at times, but they still know to just make the game fun. And you're having like, it's a game about having an adventure. And that's very much the vibe you get. You're having an adventure and you just learn more as you go. I like, as you level up, you get something called skill points. I wonder what you do with those. And you get a skill board to build your characters out how you want. So for example, the hero, the Luminary, you can choose to put points into swords or great swords, because you can equip multiple different kinds of weapons. Mm-hmm. So maybe you like the sword and shield combo. You want more defense. Well, you put more your skill points on this skill board, and you unlock new moves for swords. A flame slash. You can ignite your sword on fire and cut people. And it is very fun to see all the different things you can eventually build to with all the characters. Every character is a little bit different. I really enjoy exploring that, finding party combinations that's fun to use, mm-hmm. and you can switch them out in battle. They added a lot of things that take out some of that grind. Battle speed increases, right? Nice.
Wonderful.
There is a little forge where if you get items, you can upgrade your armor, weapons, and build new stuff. You find recipes on bookshelves all over the world, right? And they do this really nice thing is any item you can buy in the shop, material that you can use to build something, if you've been to the shop and you didn't buy it, but you go into your forge to build something and you could have, you can just buy it in the forge. You can just pay money right there in the forge instead of trekking all the way back to town to find the shop that has it. Nope, you already know you could have bought it, so theoretically we're not going to make you waste time walking all the across the land.
Nice little shortcuts.
Yeah, just nice little touches like that like take out that unnecessary lengthening of the game, right?
I can make a big difference in an RPG.
Right? You get a horse. There's a lot of like open field areas. You can get a horse. And if you gallop with the horse, you just run over the enemies and knock them out. Do you get the full experience for defeating them? No, you usually get like 1 or 2. But like early on in the game, it's like, okay, I'll just start running over everything, knocking it out. Like, oh, I leveled up. Cool. Good job, horse. I learned something.
I really learned something from you trampling these people.
Oh, I really love this game. I am at the very end of this game with my main save. I did start a new game just to...
Have you beat it before?
How do I put it this way? I haven't...
That's a yes or no question. What do you mean?
Well, there are points where you beat it, you get ending credits. I've done that.
Oh, it's like Monster Hunter?
Yeah. There is
you won! Just kidding.
Yeah, there is kind of like an original story you get. And then shit gets wild. It just gets wild. I'm not going to wreck it. I'm
curious as to why they choose to do that. Game developers choose to do that because, like I explained on Monster Hunter Rise, I saw ending credits after like 4-star quests, and I was like, but what? Why? There's more, right? And I panicked. Like, why there? It's so odd to me.
You'll never see the ending credits otherwise.
There's so much more game there.
Yeah, there's a lot more game after the ending credits in Dragon Quest. It also does just some cool things that a lot of RPGs don't generally do. There's a moment where... You know what? I'll wait for this part for the second half. Okay. I don't want to do any spoiler stuff in the first half. I want to see where you do get to and what you do experience.
Yeah.
I do just love this game. This has become one of my favorite RPGs for sure. Right up alongside there with Super Mario RPG. Ooh. But it's different. This is me personally. And like I said, I know these isn't normally your type of games.
Do you think I will like this one? Honestly,
I think this one has more potential for you to like than Super Mario RPG.
Okay.
I think the quirkiness, funness, and the fact that it was Mario might have made you more interested enough to keep playing the Mario one. This one is a better RPG objectively. It just is.
Sometimes RPGs get me, and sometimes they don't.
They do. And like I said, there's a definite chance. I'm not going to hold my breath because I know this isn't generally your type of game.
What's the percentage?
Man, that's tough. It depends on how far. If you only get so far in the game, it's like 35-40%. If you actually get to a point where you have a full party, I think it goes up to like 50 to 60%.
That's not very high.
It's just because of your general lack of enjoyment for these games will be fighting against you, unfortunately.
Well,
but I do want you to experience it.
Two things going for it. Thank God for the speed up during
That'll
battles.
make a big difference.
That's already helping so much.
Yes.
So I'm going to give it a good try, a good effort. I'm going to go in excited.
Okay.
8 out of 10 excited because you made it sound really cool.
And like I said, there's a reason this franchise is as popular it is and why Japan loves it.
I mean, after explaining all that, I think you kind of... I don't want to judge too quickly, but it sounds like you got to be kind of an asshole to not like this game.
That's not necessarily the case, but I know for you, like, knowing some of the backstory sometimes really helps you connect to something better.
Yeah, that's true.
So I really wanted to kind of give you some of that backstory.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
And like, honestly, 8 out of 10 is a lot higher than I thought you were going to give me.
Sometimes I like RPGs hit so good or so wrong with me.
Yeah.
And like you describing this game makes me think about Child of Light and how much I love that game.
Yeah.
Like if I found a new game that was like that for me, I would be thrilled because I really, really loved that game. So
I like that.
Let's try this out.
All right.
I'm hoping it's another new RPG that I like.
I hope so too. I would be very excited.
I love Pokemon.
Yep. One of your favorite games of all time is literally an RPG-ass RPG. So, well, let's get out of the studio. Let's get you some time.
Let's go play.
And we'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye-bye. Back. We've had some time with this game.
Sometime.
Yes, sometime. And you know what? It's okay that things don't always hit. So let's just tell us how you felt about the game.
I feel bad about this one.
It's okay. And I literally have had to kind of pre-prep her before this because she does genuinely feel bad that she hasn't gotten into Dragon Quest here. But I had to tell her, not every game is for every person. We all have our different things we like. And also, there does come a time where all of a sudden you realize maybe you do like this kind of game more down the line.
That's not going to happen with me.
Probably not with you. Yeah.
But I do agree with you. This is a really good example of how certain people just don't click with certain things.
Yeah.
You were telling me about the love for this game, especially over in Japan. And these slimes are cute now, but they're not cute enough to get me to stay awake while I play this game.
Yeah, you poor girl.
I kept like falling asleep legitimately.
You know, and I think I did notice this because we talked about there are some RPGs you really got into, like Child of Light, right? Then this is one of her favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
It's an RPG-ass RPG, like for real. But I think like Pokemon, for example, gets you in because it's the Pokemon are fun. They're interesting. You're trying to explore those.
Yeah.
I think Child of Light, as much of an RPG as it is, the story caught you in the beginning because it is a very interesting kind of story they have behind everything. And once that gets you, like, then you kind of want to play to find out what happens.
I mean, the
gameplay is good too. I'm not saying it's not.
The thing that caught me the most with Child of Light was the aesthetic of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Very interesting art style.
There is a lot more movement in that game. Mm-hmm. This game, Dragon Quest, is a really good example of like a classical RPG. And what I absolutely despised about it is the thing that these kind of RPGs always have. It is so many cutscenes. It is so much dialogue. It is so much exposition for every little thing. And Child of Light does have a story, and it is interesting, but it's not overwhelmingly all you do in that game. I keep calling it Dungeon Quest. Dragon Quest, it feels like all you do is listen to story. And I kept feeling that way every time I would pick it up. Child of Light, you're busy. You're doing stuff. Like, you're running around. You can fight enemies. You're finding different passageways and secrets. There's gemstones to collect, which you want to, because then you make sweet-ass builds off of them. You want to level up in battle. I mean, there was a little bit of motivation in this game to battle because I do like the skill point system and the skill trees.
Yes,
that was like the only thing in this game that I saw that I was like, ooh, this is cool.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hit that
and
point,
I thought you'd like
I got
that.
excited.
Yeah.
every character that you have has a different skill tree and different skills that they can learn. I will say though, like, this is not for chumps. Like, I mean,
No.
you get like maybe 1 or 2 skills that take 3 or 4 points. The rest of them, it's like 8, 10, 16, 12.
It starts building up, right?
Like, right away, it's like, and you don't earn that many that quickly. I mean, you have to battle a lot to earn some skill points. And I'm sure as the enemies get harder, you probably get more, but it... By this point, like I understood that I was not going to get that deep in this game. So looking around at it, it looked cool. All the different things that you can learn. You can build out your character to do different kinds of moves, different moves with their swords, different have different stats with their weapons. That's awesome. That's cool. But
I just to let people understand exactly what you're talking about. Each character has a different skill tree. It looks different and it builds out differently, but usually it's spread out into like 4 or so different places you can put it in. Yeah. So like the hero, you can focus points into regular swords or great swords. And then the other things is like, I think, the luminary tree, which is like gets you some magic spells and stuff like that. So, and Eric, the thief, he has like daggers, boomerangs, or swords.
Yep.
So it's really like you build your party out how you want to as you go further in the game.
Which is a really cool addition to this game.
Yes.
I mean, I do like that aspect. That I gotta say, you sold this game so well to me. Like, I genuinely was excited to try it. And, like, I hate to say it, but I was so disappointed the first time. And I was like, maybe it'll get better. And every time I played it, I was just disappointed again and again. It was like, oh, this is just so... It's so boring to me because it is so cutscene heavy. It is so extremely dialogue heavy.
At the beginning especially,
So dialogue heavy.
It's like, a lot of reading.
I don't mind reading. I love to read. That's not... It's what I'm reading that frustrates me.
Yeah.
I don't need 3 paragraphs about how excited you are that I'm a grown man now and I'm leaving town. And, like, it's too much. And I think... Coming back to the difference between this and Child of Light, it was a lot more succinct in Child of Light. It's, hey, this is what's happening, and then you move on from it. You don't need a novel every time a character wants to talk to you, you know?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but I also see why they have that in there. It's a hard balance. Like,
somebody must like that style.
Yeah.
Like, there's obviously a ton of people out there that love it.
There's a reason it's as popular as it is, right? And that's what I want to reiterate. It's okay that it didn't work for you. Like it like how they set up the story didn't work for you. JRPGs are not for everybody. They aren't. But I did want, like, I'm glad that you said that I sold it very well.
You sure did.
Because I really want to sell it well, so you will give it as good a try as I know you can. And you really did. You really did put in the time to try to get somewhat.
Well, you did sell it well, and I consciously thought, like, because I'm coming off of Monster Hunter Rise trying to go into this game.
Yeah.
And that's also hard.
Yep.
And I kept having moments where I was frustrated with not being able to interact with things around you very much. And I'm like, you're trying to play Monster Hunter in Dragon Quest. Stop it. Like, this is not what that is.
Nope.
And I mean, that's another big difference though that makes something more fun for me. Like, when we're playing Monster Hunter together, we have a quest, we have something we're trying to do, but we're always running around picking up tons of other stuff that we can use or might want to grab because you might get lucky and find something. And Pokemon's the same way. You're out there with a specific thing in mind that you're trying to do, but you're always on the lookout for like a random Pokemon popping up that is kind of rare and you can try to catch them, or different materials, berries and plants and things like that you're trying to collect. Like, I like to multitask that way.
Yeah.
There is no multitasking in this game. It is very linear of, I am doing this, now I am doing this.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do this.
I'm grinding for levels.
There are some side
I'm fighting.
quests.
Yeah, there are.
Like, you have to do that or this. Like, there's no multitasking.
I do see what you're saying there. I think it's more about, to me, it sounds like there are a lot of good short-term goals in like Pokemon and Monster Hunter. Like, I need to get these optional quests. I got to kill this monster. It's like, it's within a half hour that you can do this, right? But Dragon Quest, it's like, I have to focus on this one thing, and how long is this going to take me? You don't know yet.
As long as the cutscenes
as long as it takes, that's what it is.
Probably. Yep. I mean, it's not a quick jump-in game, for sure. Just finding a save. That's the other thing. You got to find a save point, and those are not everywhere. You have to find a save point, and then on top of that, like, even saving the game, it goes through this long-ass dialogue doing that, and you're like, bruh, you're just slamming the A button. Come on. By the way, I did want to say, because I know what the difference is here. You're talking about like Pokemon and everything. The reason why it feels good to do all that multitasking is because you feel like you're getting ahead. It feels like you're up in your status in the game a little further or higher than what you should be. If I collect all this stuff, I can make this thing, and then that helps me in the end. I'm stronger. I'm better. You know what I mean? Like, because those kind of games, what I love doing in a video game is trying to just OP out faster, harder, sooner than what you did before. You like to be the shonen protagonist. You know what I mean? The shonen, for people who are not hip on the manga / anime lingo, a shonen protagonist in a shonen anime / manga is a person who grinds to get the strength, goes through the training arc, learns new things. Like, there's this power creep in there, and that's what you like. You like that power creep. Now, there is that in this game, but I'm going to be honest, you don't get it in the beginning. No, once you actually get a party and you can start deciding what you like, then you can kind of focus on that. You would have to put in so much time in just grinding away at this game to be able to do that. And like you said, it would be middle to end game where you could accomplish that, which is fine. That's a common Dragon Quest thing. That's fine. Yeah. It's just not for me. See, it's so long term, so long-winded. You end up being very much on the lookout for. There's special enemies called metal slimes, and they're these little silver chrome slimes. They look like slimes. Sure. But when you kill them, they give you massive experience. Oh, really? So you run across one, you're like, there's some in this area. And then you keep running in that area until you find them. Yeah. In the end game where I'm at, there is a special trick you can do. You saw the pep powers. Yeah. When you're both pepped up, you can unleash an ultimate attack with multiple people, right? Yeah. Well, there's a special combo you do, which you literally get everyone like pepped up, and you like do a skill that multiplies all your experience. Ooh. And then you do another group's pep power, which allows you to have a chance to summon a bunch of metal slimes that are at your level. So there's metal slimes, bubble slimes, metal king slimes are the big bads you want. Okay. And if you get those and you mix this combo, you're just like level. Oh man, like, see, that sounds really cool. And that's the thing. Yeah. There's this cool stuff you can do. The hard part is it takes a long time to get there. And I'm not going to lie. A lot of this game, I played this game a lot on the Switch handheld. Yeah. So you were, watching your show or your movie, or you were playing the game you were interested in at the time, or reading a book, whatever. The game you were forcing me to play at the time, probably. Well, this was way before the podcast when I was originally playing this a lot. And it was a very good game. Like, I paid attention to the story, but like when I would get to a new area and like, okay, let's see, what kind of experience am I getting? Am I finding metal slimes? And it's like, okay, I might grind for a little bit. And when I'm doing that, watching a show or doing something else is amazing. And that's the wonderful thing about having it on the Switch is you can, you're multitasking in real life instead of in the game. I mean, I did speed up the battles. That helps a lot. It helped a little, but it's the way this game is made, everything is so drawn out. Like the 5 seconds on a facial expression, and then the battle, you select a move, and it's just this dramatic movement and your weight. It's so slow. Even like even sped up, it's slow. And I thought about Pokemon Arceus, how well they have seamlessly tried to integrate battling with running around. Like
that was very well
it made
done.
me appreciate it even more. Like I already knew that it was good and I liked it, but playing this game was a good reminder of, oh my God, thank you for doing that in Pokemon Arceus, because that really is a step forward with RPGs in my opinion. And I think pretty much every game should have that if they're going to be an RPG.
Well, I will say it's better than the random battles you get in the old Dragon Quest games in the 2D.
Yeah.
It'd be walking around in a cave. You don't see anything. Random battle. And sometimes it's like, I'm just trying to get through this dungeon. But at least in this one, you always see the enemies. So if you want to try to like, hey, do I want to grind? Kill it, you always will just fight them. But if you want to move past them, you can just move past them.
Well, sometimes.
I mean, it's not 100% proof. No. They'll chase you down if they see you, but like it all depends. Like you can kind of avoid them a little bit.
You can try to. Sometimes you can't get around them. It's wild how these enemies will be like spread out, just spaced apart enough where you can't get through them without hitting somebody. But like you said, you don't have to battle all three. Like battling 1 versus 3 of the same enemy. That was the other thing. Like it's, you go to an area and it's just like a million of the same thing. I mean, I saw a lot of different enemies overall, but there's just big groupings of like 2 in each area. Like it really, there wasn't a lot of variety there. I don't know. It was just a lot of things didn't click, but I do have some good things to say. Like one thing that I really appreciate that they did is when you load up your save file, it tells you, here's what's happened so far.
I love
and it
that.
gives you a rundown of where you're at in the story, what you should be doing.
Yep.
Because it is like you are going to play for a long period of time each time you start it up. So it is kind of nice to get a recap.
It is so nice.
Especially if you put it down for a couple days and come back. Like,
I put down like Final Fantasy 4 or like I very vividly remember how many times I've restarted Final Fantasy 4 because I put it down. I don't know what I'm doing.
What to do?
Yeah, because I get to you usually get to a point in these games where you can go wherever you want, right? Yeah. And so it's like here I am in this place. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. That recap in the beginning is like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what you're about to go do, and you're like, oh, okay, I need to go to one of these areas.
Yeah, that is really nice.
That's like such a nice quality of life, just like the being able to fast forward battles. Like such good quality of life changes they made in this to make it easier to get into for people.
I haven't seen that before in another game, and I do think that is a very nice touch.
Yep.
That's a nice little cherry on top of this crappy muffin here. But and then the other thing is I did play in 3D and I did play with the orchestrated music. The music's, I mean, it sounds nice in the orchestra. Mm-hmm. It's not like the best thing my ears ever heard, but it's nice. It sounds like typical RPG music where it's like really calm and then all of a sudden, and then it calms back down. Like it just
fantasy music.
Yeah, it does its thing. It's a nice touch though, being able to, have both or either one. Yep. And playing in 3D, like the scenery looked good.
Yeah. Looks good on the Switch.
Especially I mean, for as much shit as the Switch gets, does it look fantastic? No, it doesn't look like Elden Ring. But for a Switch game and for what this game is, it looks good enough. And there's some movement like in the grass and in the trees and the enemies are moving around. It looks a little bit better than Pokemon Arceus, for sure.
I would
especially
say
the scenery.
I will give you like the monsters or versus the Pokemon. Like I can give that a similar vibe. Yeah. But the scenery and the landscape is a little bit upgraded. It looks a lot nicer. And you can pretty much, if you can actually jump that high or get there, most times you can get somewhere.
You can't jump high at all. You jump like 2 inches off the ground. You can't reach anything when you jump.
Let me see your jump.
Me jump right now?
Yeah.
I will smoke the jump that you do in that game.
Okay.
Yes, I can. He's laughing because I got short little legs, but I can. Oh my goodness! Especially running, I'll do a long jump. I was not bad at that.
You're adorable.
You can't. It is a dissonance between. It's because I came off of Monster Hunter Rise going into this game, like the
wire bugs,
running, jumping, the wire bug, like the interaction with the environment around you. Going to this, where you were so limited, was really hard.
It is compared to Monster Hunter, very much so. There's a big limiter in your movement, but that's because the areas you travel in have a more like, this is where you're going, or these are the options you have. It's not so much, here's a whole huge area, go anywhere you want, like Monster Hunter Rise. It's more like, here's the different paths you can take.
Right. But it's a little frustrating because they did take a lot of time with the scenery, and they added a lot of detail. Like there will be a fallen tree with mushrooms growing on it. There's flowers, there's birds. And you want to go up and like try to interact with things, and you can't. Mm-hmm. So it's a little silly. Anything that you can grab is going to be shiny with like a blue-white light. And I mean, that's nice because you know you can grab it, but it's also, I mean, it just doesn't happen that often. And it's like, why'd you make this big, beautiful world, but I can't touch it? That's how it makes me feel. Okay. I want to touch it.
No, that's a fair point of criticism. That's how you feel. Like, I get what you mean. And like you said, like, you base your judgments on what games you've played and experienced and enjoyed. And like, it's just your own personal feelings. Like you like the ability to interact more.
Even climbing a ladder is slow in this game.
Yeah, the ladder climbing isn't great.
Everything
I'll give you
is
that.
Slow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was thinking about it because I was trying to figure out like how I felt about it overall. And there are definitely interesting things. And like, even hearing you talk about the battle system as you level up and progress, it sounds really cool. Like even the story in this game sounds really cool when you summarize it. Like you realize you're the special luminary, so you go to the king in Heliodor to tell him, and he throws you in jail, and you and this guy Eric escape, and like it sounds like action packed, right? Yep. But it doesn't feel that way when you play it.
And I can see why it makes you feel that way. But I will say this, the luminary isn't even my favorite character. Like the other characters you run across, and that's done on purpose because the luminary is supposed to, in essence, be like you, like you. It's you in this world, right? So, and this is
blank
how.
slate.
Well, yeah, that's how they would do that. You wouldn't give the hero of a story too much personality because they want people to put themselves in the story. So, like, how would you react to those things? But because of that, sometimes you
can't choose how to react to those things.
It's so not
it
that
just
kind
is
of
like
game.
A piece of paper floating in the wind. I mean,
yeah, and I that's a valid. It's a valid.
Then you got to
point.
get into one of those games where you get to choose like how you want to interact. I don't know what you
Mass
even call
Effect
those.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Some of the BioWare games.
Yeah.
Time to play Star Wars KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic.
That sounds
time to choose
good.
light side or dark side. I don't know. You might be into that one. It's based off old D&D rules.
I don't know, man. I don't feel like falling for your traps right now.
Well, it's before 5E.
I'm trying
and that's
to dig out of this trap right now.
Okay, let's move on. You have anything else you wanted to add about it?
I don't know. I mean,
it just didn't hook you. It's okay.
It really didn't. I had to really push to play, especially the first week. And then I'm not going to lie, this second week, I was like, yeah, maybe tomorrow night and I just kind of kept putting it off. And I was hitting up Monster Hunter pretty hard.
Yeah.
I was not doing my job.
I will be fair, because you did hit it very hard the first week.
I wanted to push through and see if it would start clicking. Like, I know myself enough now to know that I really got to like give things a fair chance and put some time in.
Yeah.
But it just was not getting better for me. No. So I had to admit defeat there.
Yeah.
Like, no,
there is a certain point when I watch, and like in the past, especially early on in us recording this podcast, I would be like, hey, you just need to give it a little more try. There's a certain point, and I don't know exactly how I deduce it, but like I know when I'm like, okay, she actually has put in enough time and I'm not going to force you to keep playing it at this point. I'm not that kind of person.
I kept looking over and asking you, like, is this what this is? Is this it? Is this?
This is what it looked like.
And that is what it looked like. Yeah. It was. I'm impressed by people that love these games. I mean,
I definitely have gotten my money's worth out of this game.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And that's okay. And honestly, like,
makes me wonder if there's something wrong with my brain. It's weird. Like, I do love to read. I read every night before I go to bed, and I read like old books. Like, it's not that I hate dialogue. I think what I look for in video games is just I want like maximum fun right now for this 30 minutes.
Yeah, and
that's what I expect out of a video game.
And this isn't necessarily that.
Yeah.
No. And I really do get that, and I think that's how I used to play games a lot when I was younger, until I was finally like introduced to RPGs by my high school friends. And then like at first I wasn't really that into it, and then it kind of grew on me, and then like it's just been this thing, like sometimes I just have this craving for a good classic RPG. And I don't want to just play some old thing that I played how many times, right?
Yeah, I get that.
And I heard good things about this one, and I did. It clicked for me. I enjoyed it. I think it's not for everybody, but like when it comes to people who play video games, you got people that all they're going to do is play different first-person shooters. You got people that just like sports games. Like you got people that play one game, and that is it. I don't judge people based on what they want to play, what they like to play, or what they don't like to play. As long as you give anything a fair shake, I'm fine. If you're just going to tell me I'm not going to play anything else because this is the only game for me and this is the only perfect game, I'm going to tell you that you're not actually opening yourself up to new experiences. And this podcast has been about opening you up to new experiences.
Yep.
Fully.
I hope we've opened other people up to some new experiences.
Yeah, and
I guess we have. Like, I hated, what was that game where you get shrunk down?
Grounded.
Yeah, and one of our friends loves it. Played the hell out of it for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Made some really cool shit, and I was kind of jealous. I was like, damn, it looks like you guys are having fun.
Because we were. That's what was happening.
I was like, but I hate it. Dang. Same thing with this. It's like, man, I know this is going to get cool, but I just hate getting there.
Can you wait till that? And
yeah, I mean, if you're not enjoying the getting there, then really why are you doing it?
And not to mention, in a couple weeks, you're going to have to move on to something else. Like, this isn't the only thing you have to play,
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why a game might not work sometimes, and it's okay that it didn't. I'm just happy you tried it, and I'm happy that you did appreciate some things about it. And you know what? I can't ask for more than that.
Yeah, there was some cool things. I mean, I'm hoping one day you will slide something in that is like the new Child of Light for me, because I really did enjoy that game so thoroughly. Like, I beat that and started playing it over right away again. Like, I beat it twice and started a third time.
Yeah, she
that's how much I loved that game.
I have 2 other actual RPGs that are on my list, and I'm not going to tell you what they are now. I'm going to wait, and then I'm going to do it when I feel the time is right.
When I feel like it.
But they're both different in different ways. Like, they both have things I think you would like. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up having you try all these games, and you're going to want to I want to pick all these pieces from all these different RPGs and put them together into one. And then maybe someone will listen and make that game, and you can have the best RPG of your life. Hopes and dreams.
Child of Light 2.
Child of Light 2. Light harder. More light. Oh, my goodness. Well, is there any last things? Any lingering thoughts?
I think that pretty much covers it all. Oh, well, I mean, this is a real random thing, but you can get different armor in this game, and you can even forge like swords and stuff.
Yes.
But when you equip the armor, you don't see it on your characters.
There's special armors that show up on your characters. They're unique.
That's lame.
I see where you're coming from, especially coming off
a Monster Hunter.
Where every piece of armor is different.
Fun. Like, why am I spending money on this when I can't even see it? I mean, it makes your defense better. I get it. But, like, it's just less fun that way. It's less fun.
I actually enjoyed the fact that only special armors actually showed up, and it made those armors feel more special. Because when you equip the two pieces, then it shows up on your character. And the nice thing that this game does is if you acquire those two pieces, you can treat it like layered armor. So you get essentially different costumes you can put over whatever you equip going forward in the game. So if you really like an outfit and you don't want to change it, set the layered armor to that cool thief outfit, and you'll never have to worry about whatever you equip.
Sound like an old dad. It makes it more special if you don't have a lot of it.
It does. I'm coming off like I used to watch my little freaking 2D ass sprites that weren't very big. Yeah, I was lucky. I was lucky the weapons changed. Like, okay,
I would be fine with that. That makes sense. It's a 2D sprite. I'm going to put all this work into a 3D world and you won't even let me see the armor I equip.
Okay, there's only so much space on the Switch for one, and there's only so much space on the disc.
They put Monster Hunter on the Switch? Don't you at me right now.
Don't me at you.
Whatever
I'm gonna put this out there. There is a lot in
You can change your costume
Hunter.
in Pokemon. That's on the Switch. Come on now. Think of a real excuse.
If you look at the actual number of items you can acquire in this game and the fact that every weapon does look different, I think you're going to come across the fact that there is a lot of visual changes to your characters. And I will
Maybe
die on this hill.
Game so I know.
Yeah. Maybe play more of the game before you come at me. I'm going to load up my level 99 characters and like, look at all these cool costumes and all these things.
Level 99.
Oh, one character's only level 97. I haven't been able to...
Yuck.
Yeah.
Where do you get all this time? When do you do these things?
You're sitting right there half the time.
God, I gotta pay attention more.
All right, let's get out of here.
You know what?
What do you got?
What?
Hold on. Wait.
Oh, I got it. Gosh, I was gonna try to do it smooth that time. I panic.
You get cute.
What do gamers and musicians have in common?
What do gamers and musicians have in common? I don't know. What?
Their fans are noisy.
Oh, yeah.
Makes me think of our old laptop when you started it up.
Oh my god. Or my original Xbox One, whenever you played a 360 game, it sounded like a jet engine sometimes. I thought my Xbox was going to take off.
It really did.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy sometimes.
Kept working though.
It's still working.
Kept trucking.
It's a trooper. I am happy with it. I want to thank Brother Ray for our caricatures.
Thank you.
And I love the new ones, and I'm happy to keep using them, and it just makes me happy. I like it.
Puts a smile on my face every time I see him.
Yes, absolutely. I want to thank you, our listeners. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in, checking us out, and hopefully, even if you're not getting a recommendation you haven't had or are not interested in, at least you enjoy the ride.
You've got some streaming up on YouTube.
Yes, I do. Thank you for reminding me. I wish I started thinking of it from the beginning of God of War, but one day I was playing, I was like, you know what, I'll record it. So I've been streaming it and posting
on YouTube.
So I think I have about 4 parts up there. And I am planning to keep doing it when I can. I don't have a streaming schedule for that. It's just when I get a chance to play God of War. So I might focus on just recording a playthrough and keep going with that for the time being.
Yeah, so if you just look up Co-ople mode on YouTube, you can find it and pop it up. And you've gotten a little fancier as the streams go along. You can see your face now.
Yeah, most recently I got my camera set up, so I'm actually in view. And that's kind of a fun little touch. I enjoy that. And I'm just, honestly, I've been having fun doing it. I didn't think I would enjoy actually. It's not like I've had a couple people pop in and out, but it's just kind of it's fun to do. I like it.
Cool. Thank you for the music.
Oh, thank you. I think that's it.
I think that's everything.
All right, I'm Matt.
It feels like more than 2 weeks since we've done this.
I know. Sometimes, like it takes so long. Sometimes
Dungeon Quest was just hovering over my head, just tormenting me. You gotta play me, or Dragon Quest. I keep calling it Dungeon Quest. God,
I know.
Can't even get the name right of this game.
Call it at least Dragon Warrior. That's what it used to be called in the U.S.
Dragon
right?
Warrior.
All right, I'm Matt.
I'm Rose.
And this has been Co-ople Mode. Woo! You keep gaming with your bestie. Ta-ta!